I was yours once till death if you cared to keep me, but I'm someone else's now. I can't hang about whining forever, and he's mine in a way that shocks you, but why don't you stop being shocked and attend to your own happiness? I think about this quote often. This quote is from E.M. Forster's novel Maurice, written and finished in 1913 through 1914 and published posthumously in 1971. This quote in particular struck me in a way that nothing from a book ever had. The story, set in Edwardian England, follows Maurice Hall, from his formative school years through his life in university where he meets Clive Durham. The two fall in love, and have a sweeping, romantic but chaste love affair. Clive breaks off their relationship and marries a woman. After repeated rejections from Clive and attempts to be cured of his homosexuality, Maurice finds himself in love with Clive's under-gamekeeper Alex Scudder. The novel ends with Scudder leaving his family to find Maurice, finding each other in the Durham's boathouse, and sealing their promise with a kiss and a gentle whisper. And now we shan't be parted no more, and that's finished. Edward Morgan Forster was an English author born in London on January 1st, 1879. You may be familiar with other novels of his such as Howard's End, Passage to India, or A Room with a View. He studied at King's College in Cambridge, and after leaving devoted his life to writing. He often wrote of class divides, a theme prevalent within Maurice. In the novel, Scudder works for the Durhams as an under-gamekeeper, meaning he was a common worker hired by the Durhams to manage animals for hunting around the estate. Both Maurice and Clive come from comfortable families, Clive more so. So not only does Maurice's relationship with Scudder touch on the terror of being a homosexual in Edwardian England, it touches on the class divide between the two lovers. Forster was openly homosexual to a few close friends. He never married and took multiple lovers throughout his life. Maurice was shared with a very select group of friends, and revised many times before Forster's death. Forster died on June 7, 1970 in Coventry, Warwickshire. Maurice was published after his death in 1971, once it was okay for the book to be read by the public. As Forster put in the book's terminal note, written in September of 1960, since Maurice was written, there's been a change in the public attitude here. The change from ignorance and terror to familiarity and contempt. The book was dedicated to a happier year. One of the reasons Maurice stuck with me was its happy ending. It's a tale of heartbreak, rejection, and unrequited longing. But for every rejection Clive thrusts upon Maurice, he finds solace in Scudder. Forster wrote that a happy ending was imperative, and that he wouldn't have written the book in the first place if it wasn't for the allowance fiction grants two men who wish to be in love forever and ever. Bury your gaze is a trope prevalent in media and pop culture. It may have spent its life unnoticed to some, but once noticed it can't go unnoticed. Queer characters face tragic endings far more than heterosexual characters. A Single Man, Lily's Not For Me, Summer of 85. And don't get me wrong, they're some of my favorite stories ever told, but it's seldom that gay characters end the story happily, so finding a story in which it happens feels like magic. While the ending may not have been so happy for Clive, Scudder abandons his family's boat to Argentina to live the rest of his life with his love, and Maurice follows suit. Maurice was adapted into a film by James Ivory and Ismail Merchant, both business and life partners, in 1987. The film stars James Wilby, Hugh Grant, and Rupert Graves as Maurice, Clive, and Scudder respectively. While not following the book exactly, I find the film to be just as good and just as moving as the book. Ivory had found success in his adaptation of Forster's novel A Room with a View, and after considering all of Forster's novels, figured Maurice would be an enjoyable and inexpensive project. Forster had left the rights to his stories to King's College, and Merchant eventually persuaded the college into letting them adapt the story. Hugh Grant had been cast pre-fame, having only starred in one film prior to Maurice. The film won 3 awards at the Venice Film Festival: Best Actor for both Wilby and Grant, Ivory for Best Director, and Best Music. Maurice had also been adapted for the stage in 1998, being revived in 2010, 2012, and 2018, the latter being directed by James Wilby. There's also a spin-off novel by William D. Canzio, titled Alec, following Scudder through and beyond the events of Maurice. The story of Maurice is a rarity, a happy, shining gem within the horde of tragic gay romances. It follows a man like any other chasing a love that can never see the light of day. It's grounded, real, and written with the whole of a man's heart. It struck me in a way I haven't found myself stricken before, in a way that makes me feel the way a fond memory does. I think often of Maurice's final speech to Clive, in which he declares he's in love with Scudder, putting an end to the love he clung on to when he was inexperienced and adoring. I was yours once till death if you'd cared to keep me, but I'm someone else's now. I can't hang about whining forever, and he's mine in a way that shocks you, but why don't you stop being shocked and attend to your own happiness?